Hello, everyone.
I just says that all the time. So.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm outside. I didn't realize they were cleaning my office. Like the rugs are getting cleaned. So I went down and I'm all ready to do the thing, and the people all over the place. So anyway, I'm outside.
Let's be honest. This is we've been able to tap into what those people at Westworld have, and this is the Eck robot because the other Eck is busy cleaning his office. Like it's okay.
That's right. No, the other Eck never cleans his office. That's for sure.
Can I volunteer? Can I volunteer? I want an Evan Rachel Wood robot. Right now. I volunteer.
No, this is not the Eck bot or anything like that.
Too bad.
So all right, let's get going because I'm leaving here. I know you are too, Russ. You're leaving there, and
I won't be leaving for a few hours though.
I'm leaving. I'm meeting some people early, so I'm leaving right after the show to drive down to DC to catch Game 4.
Yep.
So here we go. That's today's date, the 4th. All right, cool. Hello, Hockey World. It's Monday, June 4th, 2018.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I am Eklund. And you're watching the HockeyBuzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com. Sorry I look like this because it's really sunny out here. I look like I'm in.
Don't apologize to us. I mean,
nothing better when you than to look on you.
Now you look like the
like a Wawa like this.
Now you look like DB Cooper.
Unabomber. He looks like the Unabomber.
I know that's the thing. Like I went into
the beard. He's missing the beard.
When I went into the supermarket the other day, you go in like this, you just realize you're just a criminal. But no, I'm just a hockey.
Does anybody know who DB Cooper is anymore?
I don't know who DB Cooper is now.
DB Cooper is the guy who hijacked a plane. This was in the 70s, and all they have of him is a drawing of.
Yes, I do. I do.
He's with sunglasses and a hoodie.
I heard a whole thing about this one. Yes, I did. I saw a documentary on this guy. So he jumped out of the plane apparently. He jumped out of the plane and
they never found him, but they think he was like former Army or something like that because he had a parachute and he jumped out of the plane in mid-flight.
That's it. Yeah.
With a full of money.
Well, yeah.
With like money. Like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon, essentially.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, awesome. There's our history lesson for the day. There you go.
Let's start with the Stanley Cup Finals because that's where we are right now, and then we'll get into the combines with you guys. So Stanley Cup Finals I went to game 3. I'm very interested in hearing your opinions on it because we didn't actually chat much. It's funny, I text more when I'm not at the games with you guys than when I am, so I didn't really get what your thought was on this game. With the exception, I texted one thing, of course, that I thought Devontae Pelly-Smith looked horrible, and of course he scored the game winner, but. He did look horrible.
Accurate as always.
But that is the rule of thumb for all writers and analysts. Every time you start ripping on somebody, generally they do well. Like that is the way it goes.
It is just so crazy. And yeah, I mean, and I'm not one to like tweet out that someone looks horrible, but I was texting to you guys, that like, just as a bunch of buddies talking about the game. Yeah. He looks terrible. And he really looked terrible. Well, I'll tell you some other players that look terrible as well now that we're here on the air. In my opinion, Riley Smith looked terrible. Like I don't know what was going on with him, but he had
a minute go of that game. He was having a bad game. Like he just was never locked in.
He never locked in. He was like and he's the kind of guy that when he looks bad, it looks like he's never like held a stick before. Like he was just completely awkward in all of his.
Well, in full disclosure, I listened to the game for about half of it. Got to where Russ and a couple friends were for the for after the combine to watch the last part of the second and third period. And I didn't think Vegas in that time played particularly well, but to say that it was a 1-goal game until so they didn't play a good game and they were still in it. So for those people writing off Vegas already and singing or hearing the death knell, this series is not over by a long shot.
No. And I'll tell you the thing that was really interesting to me was actually the Capitals played a really, really mediocre first period. I mean, it was not a good first period in general.
It wasn't a good one for either team, yeah.
It really wasn't. But the Capitals,
we should blame Pat Sajak on that.
Well, we got to get into that. But okay, so no, but we will put a circle on that one. All right, a pin. Put a pin on it.
Can I buy a vowel?
Buy a vowel. No, but So the first period, it was funny because the first period was really probably the most boring period of the finals so far, and just had really nothing going on, which was really surprising because the Caps fans were hyped. I mean, they were very loud, they were very stoked, and I thought the Vegas response at the beginning of the game was excellent. Like I thought they really just, I mean, they held them off. They outshot the Caps through the first 10 minutes of the game, which you would not expect in a situation like that at all. The Caps had one glorious chance, of course, that they didn't score on. That Fleury made an incredible save. Coming across, but yeah, there was the one thing I noticed about the Caps and this Caps team in particular is they do not forecheck. Let's throw that out there. There's hardly any.
A couple of guys do, but the whole team doesn't.
Yeah. No, it's just. I mean, I'm sure that there were moments, but really, if you were to count the times when a defenseman was keeping the puck in and they were cycling it back down low, for the Capitals, maybe 2 or 3 in the entire game, and I mean, they score off the rush. They like to come in, they get their chances, and they get out of there. But it's not just off the rush. They might dump it in and get one chance, but they're not keeping the puck in the zone for an extended period of time. And where the Vegas was in the beginning of the game, Vegas would have the.
Here's what I thought about this last game. I mean, for one thing, Barry Trotz is winning the coaching battle. He started to win it. I think even from the first game, again, going back, if you take away the Reeves goal, we really have a different series here, and the Capitals would be in a better position. But going from last game on, I think Trotz has outcoached Gerard Gallant. He has figured out the 5 guys in the circles, and they have been rushing down the wing and making those passes. The Caps have the guys to do it. That's the thing that Gallant has to adjust to now is I get that that's just a system and it worked all year, but the Caps have the guys to do this and to break this system. And so that's one thing. I don't think they forecheck a lot, Eck, because they have such good passers that they're able to get the puck out so quickly with good skaters too. And then when they get back on defense, if it's not Brooks Orpik, it's pucking, they've got the stick in the puck to the neutral zone. They get that out. Yeah. The sticks are very active. I think they've been doing a good job on that. I think the fact that Kuznetsov looked as good as he did after the hand injury should put away any sort of Russian stereotype forever about toughness.
I'll tell you this. My blog yesterday was almost, I wrote a story about how it was being hard to watch either of these teams lose. It was my story that I wrote eventually yesterday that I thought it's hard to root against either of these teams. And and I talked to a lot of the reporters and they felt the same way. Like a lot of reporters say, I usually can find something I don't like about these teams, but these two teams.
Ask me, please.
I know. There are people, believe me. I sat next to someone whose first name was Steve and last name was Simmons, who had issues. But besides that,
Mike, by the way, I got this from a source. Mike didn't like lollipops as a kid. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, but no, exactly that or kittens or anything. But to me, my blog yesterday was going to be: is Kuznetsov better than Ovechkin right now? Because I think he is. I mean, and as I watch that, and then
I think it's close.
I mean, I think that it's really unfair to Ovechkin because Kuznetsov is way younger. But what Kuznetsov can and Ovechkin is still the best goal scorer in the league, and we've talked about that many times. He's got 611 goals or whatever since he came in the league, and the next closest is Crosby with 411. So it's a crazy statistic. Like he's just so much better, such a better goal scorer than anybody else. But right now, if you could pick one player. Right now it would be tough because Kuznetsov is that good, and that's the thing that if you were to compare Stamkos and Kucherov versus Ovechkin and Kuznetsov, I'm not sure who I'd rather have.
I'll bet and obviously the series has got a long ways to go, but if the trend continues and the Capitals win, it's going to be Ovechkin who wins the Conn Smythe based on. I think, seniority.
He's got a boatload of points too, but
for sure. But Kuznetsov, if he has like a crazy series the rest of the way,
Kuznetsov leading them in scoring, I believe. I think he has 27 points,
more than anybody in the playoffs. But and
Ovechkin will win the Conn Smythe.
It's hard to say. Like it depends. It depends. I think if someone from the Capitals win it, it's still up in the air between those guys, and even Holtby could come into play too.
Even Fleury could still come into play if they get in another win.
I think it's Fleury's to lose, and I still think that even given the first 3 games, you can't blame Fleury for any of this.
I was gonna say that game, Fleury made some of the best glove saves you'll ever see in a Stanley Cup. That game could have been 5-1 easy.
They're lightning quick, and a lot of goal. And the difference between Fleury saves and a lot of goalie saves, a lot of goalies love saves. the gloves there, the puck hits it, and they're going like this afterwards, whatever. Fleury's going to the puck. That's the funny thing about it. Like you watch his replay, and it's not like it's here and the puck hits it. It's puck's here. He's going for it. He's catching it.
Past him. He caught one that was past him.
Yeah, he did. I saw that. I know. The other thing that still stands out incredibly is that Vegas, and I made a joke about this on Twitter, probably has the NHL record for most playoff goals on goalie giveaways. Like they just are incredible at this in the playoffs. I mean, this is the one thing that if you're a goalie, you should really be careful handling the puck around Vegas.
He can't be. He can't be. It will ruin his game.
Well, no, I'm telling you right now, Braden Holtby should not step out of the crease.
No, you're wrong. And I'll tell you why.
Well, then he's going to keep up giving it goals like this because they're going to be on him.
No, but right. The 95 other times that he gets the puck and clears it and beats a Vegas defenseman to the puck or a forward to the puck, it throws Vegas off completely.
No, you're right about that.
If he's going to get caught once in a while like that, that's fine because Holtby is covering everything else he's supposed to. But I'm telling you, those puck clears are massive because that is killing Vegas. It is.
Yeah, he's just got to be clear about it. He's just got to be.
But you can't say anything to him. Right now, you've got a Holtby. This is the best version of Braden Holtby we have ever seen. I would not say a word to him.
Well, it may be incumbent on Vegas to rattle him a little bit because if he's so on, like has happened a couple times in this series where there's been significant contact on Marc-Andre Fleury. I mean, there was a goal that was waved off because was it Smith Pelly that made contact with Fleury on the goal?
He kind of knocked him into the head.
Exactly. And honestly, it's like I mean, I'm not saying run Holtby, but if he is so on, you need to sort of get in his kitchen. You need to distract him. You need to make contact for him, even if it results in a minor penalty. I think it's at that point now where Vegas needs to shake him up a little bit because he is so on.
Problem is Vegas they don't have those kind of forwards.
They have a couple.
I mean, Tuck's really, he's a big guy with a lot of power and stuff like that, but James
Neal is an artist at cheap shots.
Yeah, Neal could be the guy.
Neal obviously Reeves, but Tuck's more of a perimeter player. Where he's better when he goes inside. He needs to go inside. I mean that's where he does.
He goes inside on the power play, but for the most part, that's true.
Tuck needs to be moved. Tuck needs more time on the ice. I mean, that's the big thing that I really felt in that game.
Yeah.
Like I think, and I agree with I forget who said it after the game on NHL. It might have been I forget who it was, but they said that they would swap, which they did which Vegas has done before, which is put Tuck on the second line instead of what's his name? Gosh,
Nosek?
No, Nosek's on the fourth line. The guy who's he used to be on. Oh my gosh.
It's Tuck Hall and Neal playing together.
They're the third line. But this right the second line.
Cody.
No, that's the second line. No,
you talking about David Perron?
Yes,
Perron's the guy.
Paul and Neal. It was Perron. That's who it was. So it wasn't. So Tuck was on the third line. Tuck needs Tuck for Perron is the switch you have to make. Perron really, and they've done it before, and it would be a really important switch because Tuck has a lot more upside than Perron. Perron is so inconsistent, like wildly inconsistent.
I'm wondering whether Gallant will make any more, make any other lineup lineup changes. I mean, I know that during the series with Winnipeg, he inserted Tatar, and Tatar scored a big goal.
Should insert Tatar again. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, maybe in place of Nosek, even though Nosek scored those.
I can't do it for Nosek. Maybe, you know what? As much as I like Cody Eakin, maybe you give up Cody Eakin for a game. You got to do something like that. That's all.
I would do it for Perron and I know he's a center, but find a way to make that work because and I think they have done it for Perron in the past. I remember.
Well, Perron's been injured. I mean, that's the thing.
And I think that he had a lot of meaningless shifts. Like that's kind of which is something you really notice more live than you notice on TV sometimes because you just end up like watching a player sometimes. And I was watching Perron specifically because that line was getting schooled, and I was trying to see what Perron was doing on the ice, and there was a lot of like he barely touched a player, a puck, or anything like that. And that just shouldn't happen. It really shouldn't. So. Yeah, he's the guy, and I like Dave Perron too. He's a fan of the shows and everything like that, but he just doesn't. He did not look good in that. He did not look good in that last night at all, or 2 nights ago at all.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, I look at these games and I say Vegas is actually kind of lucky they're still in this series. I really mean it.
Yeah, I think you're overemphasizing the Ryan Reeves goal, though, Russ.
No, I'm done with that. Think about when the Caps are getting leads now.
Right.
The Caps now get leads and they don't lose them. I mean, Vegas now not only when Eck was talking about like what Vegas was doing against teams previous to this series, that's gone. They're no longer able to do that.
Yeah. The Caps are just better than anybody they played so far. I mean, that's I talked to somebody at the game, and that's what they said. The fact of the matter is they're just better than anybody we played so far, and they have have a couple of superstars, and and the difference is Kuznetsov on a 2-on-1. He rarely takes a shot. I mean, thank God I took the shot, but for him, but he's gonna beat Fleury. Like if Fleury's a great goalie, but it doesn't matter. Kuznetsov's gonna score that goal. Ovechkin made an incredible play on the first goal that people just like the diving forward off the back of his stick.
That's a way to be able to score it that way, reaching over another guy, not really having full control of your stick. Come on.
It was crazy.
An Ovechkin blast, right? It was not that.
And what was important about that? It was like it could have been, in some ways, like the turning point of the series because Fleury made like 4 unbelievable saves. Like that, and if they don't score there, like on that same play, like Fleury makes a great save on this first shot, the rebound save, the other rebound save. If Fleury makes a save on Ovechkin's shot, or Ovechkin takes that wide and they continue on, that then Fleury really gets going. And Vegas really gets going because that goal was a huge turning point. That game changed a lot after that goal.
We should say too, the Kuznetsov goal. Coming off the off wing like that, like Mark Messier used to do that a lot, and I felt like Kuznetsov maybe did it better than Mark Messier would do because I think in Messier's day you didn't have to be so precise as far as shooting that to the opposite corner, but Kuznetsov's shot, I think we take it for granted like that off wing shot, but you have to have a lot of skill to do it, and he still shot it high, like it was crazy. Yeah.
No, it was a laser. I mean, it was like I was down that end where my seats are, and I was down that end, so I saw it really well, really closely. And I mean, it was a blur. That shot was just crazy fast. And yeah, like you said, you shouldn't be able to get that kind of strength and that kind of speed from that angle with that on your offhand like that. There was no question about it. It was nuts, and that's why that kind of skill play. You can't beat it. That And a little bit of, there's an old saying, and we've heard it before, that like hard work beats talent, but hard work and talent wins all the time. That's very much going on in this series, because what's happened with Vegas a lot of times is the hard work beats talent thing, that they just outwork people. Yeah. But Caps are working as hard as them, and they've got more skill. And there's no two ways about it. It's just take away the whole season and say you're watching this team of players versus this team of players. And the Caps just have way more skill, and whether or not that translates into. And you're right. I mean, the series could turn tonight. Who knows? I mean, the way I don't. And even if Washington wins tonight, I don't put Vegas out of this at all because I really feel like at this point we should just give Vegas the benefit of the doubt that they're going to do something crazy or spectacular at the weirdest time. Maybe they're the team that comes back 3-1 in the Stanley Cup Finals to win. Oh. I mean, the crazy thing about down 3-1 is they've got 2 of those games at home, so. All they have to do, it's like they're to me.
I mean, obviously, to that's asking a lot, even of a real. And I'm not saying they're not a really good team, but even of a real established team, it's asking a lot to fall down 3-1. I think this game is key for Vegas. They're going to need Fleury to play the way Fleury has played in the third period of Game 2 and in Game 3 because I thought he was really good in Game 3. And I think they need to get that number 1 line of Carlson, Marchessault, and Riley Smith online. I mean, I
think Riley Smith derailed that game. I think Eck was right. I noticed the same thing right at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's a lot of because of Riley Smith's the thing about playing with those 2 guys is there's a lot of quick stick work that goes on. Like a lot of like a lot of times they are tapping pucks to each other. Mm-hmm. One timing passes, a lot of short little. It happens all the time, and Smith looked like he was someone gave him a stick that was like a left-handed stick to play right-handed or something. Like he just on a lot of those quick tap things, which are very skilled plays and really hard to do. You know, you almost like want Perron in that situation because that's the kind of thing that Perron does really well, like taps things. Yeah. But you know, Smith, it just that there was something wrong with him in that game. He was nervous, or I don't know what it was, but it was just not quite there. And you know, we've seen different Riley Smiths over the years, you know, and that was a little bit of the old Riley, the bad Riley Smith, that the reason that, you know, people didn't want to pay his contract and they got rid of him. But at the same time, it's one game and it's hard to rip on the guy who's had an unbelievable year.
Right.
So I'm not going to sit there and take it apart, but I think that
this is now adversity for Vegas. This is the most adversity they've actually faced since they've had the slew of goaltending injuries.
Yes.
Right. Everybody and that's a great point, and everybody's definitely talking about that because, you know, this team's not to deal with any adversity. But I think that I don't know that I just think some of those type of like obvious catchphrase type things. Not to say you're saying an obvious catchphrase, Russ.
No, it's all right.
But you know, some of those catchphrases, like when I go to them,
just take it day by day. It's fine.
They almost don't apply to this team.
We're just taking this one game at a time. Come on.
Yeah, you know, they almost don't apply to this team. You know, it's like, to me, it's just like, yeah, I mean, they faced adversity, but hell, I mean, they should be where they are. So
yeah, they just got to get pucks in deep tonight. And
pucks to the net. They just get pucks to the net.
And they need to get to Holtby. We're right. I mean, they need to get a goal on him early. And they need because he is playing unbelievable. I mean, you take that one giveaway away, he's got, you know, 2 shutouts in a row.
And if not getting a goal early, like I'm saying, get in his kitchen, distract him. You know, you see him on the bench before the game with his eye drill, and he's going back and forth. And he's definitely a guy who plays within himself and is very focused. And with players like that, if you disturb that focus, you knock them off their game. So that's what I'm saying. You know, stand in front of the net. You know, I'm not saying do a Sean Avery, but stand in front of the net. Hit him with the stick, everyone. You know, jab him with the stick a little bit. You know, maybe chat at him a little bit. Maybe he tunes that out. But I think you really have to do that kind of stuff to sort of knock him off his game.
Well, here's what I noticed pregame, right? Because if I was sitting next to Eck, I wouldn't have noticed this. But because I was watching TV with no sound, thankfully there was no sound. I know we'll talk about that. But the one thing I did happen to zone in on, and in the last couple of years, because of outdoor games and just regular season games, I've covered Holtby a lot. And he's one of those guys that he actually will talk all the time, right? So I've spoken to Holtby, you know, quite a bit. And he is in this sort of robotic trance state that is impossible to get him out of right now. When he literally stepped on the ice, he exhaled, right? And then I felt like it was a Holtby robot that literally got into net and just never, ever wavered. And I swear his eyes were closed the minute he started skating. I really do. I just think he's in this zone that it may be impossible to get him out of it.
No, he looks. I mean, he's a big goalie, you know, and when he's just broad, you know, and he's got like, you compare like Fleury, who's big but, you know, lankier, and you really notice that. When you're live, you really see that. And when Holtby, like a big goalie like that covers that much the net, when they're confident like that, shoo, it's like, you know, you look at it, you're like, what the heck? If you're going in to shoot on them, you wonder what the heck they're seeing. They're not seeing anything. You know, they're not seeing any net. They're not seeing any openings. I mean, there were some beautiful little plays. I mean, a couple breakaways that you know, semi breakaways that Vegas got. The one by Marchessault where he taps it through the guy's leg.
Marchessault still had a pretty good game. I was going to say that.
He did, and tonight, you know, and that it's just.
Well, what did you want to say about Pat Sajak?
This is a horrible trend. The NHL needs to stop this. This whole concept of getting people on the ice to introduce the teams before they did it. The one you're like, okay, it's Vegas, so let's get ready to rumble guy. That's
fine. They wheeled out Michael Buffer, and like it was like, ugh.
It was rough, but the real problem with that was that they did it after the national anthem, which was horrendous. Like you can't do anything after the national anthem in hockey. Like after the national anthem, you play. This they did before the national anthem, so give them that. But it was just, I mean, it was just embarrassing. I thought, like, it was like really awkward. It really felt awkward to me. Like, it just like, Pat Sajak's a great guy. I've met him before. I've talked to him. But it's like, this is not the time to bring somebody out just because you have a celebrity to bring him out. You know, it's like, that's what it felt like. We have a celebrity who's a season ticket holder too. Vegas has all these celebrities, but we have got one who's a season ticket holder. So we're going to bring
the I don't know if it's the NHL or the Capitals Twitter feed had a photo of Linda Carter in a Capitals jersey. And apparently she's a longtime season ticket holder. And then, okay, that's where it belonged. It belonged on social media. Take a picture, not,
throw up on the board at the intermission and during commercial break. That's what you do, like they'd
I'll give Sajak credit. Like, I didn't realize he was a season ticket holder for 13 years. I just saw that on his Twitter.
And that's amazing. And if you're going to do that, if you're going to do all that, have them come out like either before the players come on the ice, just or whatever, and just like say something, give like a rousing thing or whatever. But something when all the players are standing there, and for him to announce and then say, "Well, I know the tradition is we boo the other team when we talk." It's like, come on, this is really awkward.
Apparently, he got McNabb's name wrong, and that's bad. And
I feel bad. I mean, he's a great guy, and I'm sure he wanted. And I just felt like it was a momentum kill in a building that was like.
I did want to point out something though, because online. We know Scotty was, so he and I were having some fun on Twitter, and I was like, boy, I don't know, Caps are coming up a little short celebrity wise until Linda Carter was spotted. That was good. But he was kidding, and he was like, but we have Sting. I'm like, listen, Sting was there because he got paid.
I was gonna say Sting. I love Sting. Sting is great. He's one of my favorite artists, but Sting is a sports he's done the NBA All-Star game. He's a whore for sporting events. He's getting paid $250,000 to go and sing "Message in a Bottle." And
he was an athlete, right? He was a soccer player and all stuff. So he gets like
Shaggy. I don't even know who Shaggy is.
Yeah, I don't even. Yeah, isn't he from Scooby Doo?
Wasn't he part of the cast of Scooby Doo?
You just said that.
Sorry. Yeah. I mean, and I'll say, as a total aside on Sting, okay? It really is creepy. The song "I'll Be Watching You."
Yeah, every breath you take. Yeah.
Yeah, like every breath you take, like over and over again, like the crowd, like, yeah, I'll be watching you. It's like, wait, what are you saying? I mean,
you can't let that song get ruined out of the current society.
19,000 voyeurs at the Capital One Arena.
Atmosphere, you know what I mean? Like a festival atmosphere is like. I mean, there's police songs that are fantastic for that. Bring up something from way back or whatever.
How about the do-do-do-do-da-da? There you go.
Yeah, but like, I'll Be good, which I know is a huge hit, but it's like a weird hit to play in front of us.
I didn't hear the audio. I had no idea how he was with Shaggy. Was it good? I don't even know.
It was. We only saw the part that they broadcast the "I'll Be Watching You" into the arena.
Right.
On the screen. So I saw that, and I'm like, yeah, every step you take, every move you make, and like this is the kind of song, and it's a great song. I'm sorry, but
we all loved it.
Right, but yeah, and it had its moment, and it's like one of those like it's not an outdoor concert song. Like, and if I was, it's like
a stadium anthem, is what you're saying.
It's like your girlfriend just broke up with you, and you're gonna listen to.
Yeah, but what is he supposed? What is he supposed to sing? Roxanne, which is about a prostitute.
Well, this is the point, Mike. I mean, this is like you said, Sting.
Right. I'm saying I love Sting, but it's like, is it Englishman in New York? I mean, there's
that's not going to happen either, right? So like,
it's like there's I can't.
The album when I was in college, that if I had a girl over, you put on a Sting album because you just like it's nice and mellow and you can.
Right. Fields of Gold.
It's not a concert festival before a Stanley Cup final. Album.
No.
You know what? Honestly,
let's listen to some Sting.
Honestly, the way things are right now, "Don't Stand So Close to Me" would actually resonate better.
Again, creepy.
No, but at least,
but it's about a teacher. It's about a teacher and a 16-year-old girl getting it on.
Right. All valid, all interesting from a musical perspective, but not what you play in front of a crowd standing in the rain. In Washington, D.C., all wearing Capitals jerseys. It's like
who's next? Who are we going to hear today? Or they just did that for the opener, you think?
I think Nora Jones, actually. They're going to bring out Nora Jones now.
Nora Jones. Don't go, man.
Why not? Wait. Who's for Game 5? Tori Amos?
Well, I just said that, Mike. Come on.
Does DC not have any bands that came from DC? I was trying to think about that.
Look that up. I don't know. Hold
on. Dave Grohl is from the DC area.
Yeah, but he doesn't. There's no way Dave Grohl showing up.
He's too big. I know. He's too big.
I mean, it was. I mean, the Imagine Dragons. They're huge right now. I'm not crazy about their music, but I get it. They're huge, and they were from Vegas, and that's cool. They asked to play. That's great. Everything Vegas. This is the difference between this thing. Like everything Vegas does, they've done so far, which is pretty crazy to say.
Well,
but relatively like
Let's
like things that like this is
All
this.
right, wait, I got a thing. Here's the music of Washington, D.C. You've got the U.S. Marine Band, founded in 1798.
And they play, and there's some trumpeting band from the Army that plays, or Marines that play in the middle of intermissions at the games.
John Philip Sousa.
Yeah, he's been dead for a while.
He's been dead for a little while.
They're big in folk. They've got a lot of folk bands.
Well, that
Mary Chapin Carpenter is a big one.
Now they're Mary Chapin Carpenter, I love, but that's like another one you don't put out in front of a Capitals crowd.
The Mamas and the Papas. Cass Elliot.
Yeah, John Phillips, I think, is gone.
No, Cass Elliott's the one. Mama Cass.
No, ham sandwich.
John Denver.
He's dead.
He's very dead.
He played in Georgetown a lot.
He's dead, but he's high.
He
I mean,
he's Rocky Mountain high.
Hey, listen, if John Sebastian comes on and he plays the Welcome Back Kotter tune, I'd be happy.
I mean, yeah, this is sad. I mean, I think what we've learned through this is for a city that size, really a terrible music city.
All I can say is all these options.
One progressive rock band.
Whoa. All I can say is that all these options are better than wheeling out Plastic Man Wayne Newton for Game 5.
But wait.
But no, see, that's part of Vegas. Like that.
I gotta ask this: who are the Fallen Angels? That's their only progressive rock band.
Never ever heard of them.
They had 2 records in the 60s. That's what I'm saying.
So let's not bring up the Sticks.
Both of them in 11-16. Yeah, just forget about that. Sorry, that's a really bad progressive rock joke for everybody out there.
Yeah.
Oh wait, Henry Rollins may be from the area or played a lot in the area.
Great, he can sing Liar.
He could do a spoken word. He could do a spoken word.
I played with Henry Rollins once. We opened for Henry Rollins, which was the weirdest thing ever. We couldn't understand it because he's like a spoken word tattooed anarchist, and
he could sing his big hit Liar.
Oh God, yeah. So this is what we've learned. So this is why we went to Sting, and apparently probably Shaggy is from DC, right? I mean, that's like,
yeah. But there's DJ Dave Nader. He created Moombaton.
Let's talk about the Combine.
You know what Moombaton is?
My God.
I think that it's a shame that such a city like
come on, Mike,
that size.
Ruh-roh.
I mean, Baltimore. There must be some bands from Baltimore. Anyway, all right.
Actually, I'll tell you,
there's a lot of STD.
All-time low is from Baltimore. I like them a lot, actually.
But we don't have any I mean, hell,
They're a good band. That you didn't even say anything. Screw you. You're such an elitist.
No, I don't know them. I don't know them. I'm sorry.
They have a lot of hits. That's all right. They're not a massive band. They're not.
What are they called?
All-time
low. Let's talk about the Combine.
Hey, Maria is their big hit. It's a huge hit.
I will look into it. I'm sorry.
Let's move on, please.
Yes, go ahead.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Combine. I did get some good stories out of there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to have a chance to write a lot of them because I'll be reporting them on shows. Probably the best one, though, is, and this is why I still feel that Brady Tkachuk has the most upside of any forward in the draft.
Yeah.
He was 5'9" a couple of years ago when he signed into the U.S. program. Think about that for a minute.
We were all 5'9" a couple years ago. But yeah.
No, but the idea is his body has just gotten elongated over the last 2 years. So he's not even at like the strength he'll even be at.
That's
he's
cool.
6'2", 6'3"?
6'3" now, but even strength-wise, he's nowhere near what he's going to be when it all kicks in. And so I think that's the scariest because, look, if you look at Andrei Svechnikov, he's a man already. Like, what you see is what you get. He's going to walk into the NHL. He's a finished product. He will get, there'll be some icing on the cake that you could do there and some touching up. But same with Philip Zadina. Actually, the most interesting thing is, and probably the most misunderstood test there, is the one where it's almost like simulating where you do suicides if you're ever on a basketball team or tried out for a basketball team.
Yeah. And
I put a video up of Jonathan Gruden doing it, who's going to be a mid-round pick, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, but he did it great, and he actually tested great. But Philip Zadina doing that was a shock at how fast he was. And so people are like, well, what does that have to do with hockey? And it's like speed burst and land burst is very similar muscles.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what they're checking.
Well, sorry.
Go ahead.
I thought the most interesting thing in terms of, we're not going to know until the draft where, what these tests mean to teams and, how players are going to go up and down the board and pretty much, what people like Russ and who know a lot about the draft, where they sort of slot players is where they're generally going to end up. But the The interesting thing is, and I've been talking about this for a while, is the fact that the top forwards in this draft, at least the ones that are top ranked, are all wingers: Zadina, Svechnikov, Kachuk, Wallstrom, and the buzz at the 2 days I was there at the combine was about Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who's arguably the top center in this draft, and some people have him ranked probably like 9, 10, 11, 12.
I have 12 currently.
Right. Okay. And apparently Montreal is glowing about him. They and he in his media availability, says, well, I hear Montreal is looking for a center. I hope it's me. Well, Montreal is the 3rd pick. Now, there's nothing saying that they're not going to trade down, but there's some speculation they might take this guy at 3, and that's what I mean. Centers. I think Zadina, I think Svechnikov, I think Kachuk will all be really good NHLers.
I don't write later today about this because I actually, when I was talking to somebody in Montreal today, I actually heard that Kachuk was their guy. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but it's just from one person I talked to today that Montreal is looking at Kachuk really hard.
I mean, listen, here's the one thing. All these prospects want to play for the Canadians. They know what the franchise means. I was bringing it up to Oscar Bach, right? I was like, who did you talk to? And he goes, oh, my God, this is like the hardest question at the draft, right? And it's really funny that he said it that way. And I'm like, well, what about the Flyers? And he goes, Flyers. Then after like 20 seconds, yeah, I think so. And I said, what about the Rangers? He goes, oh, my God. And he's like, and then I go, what? And then Pat Hickey goes, what about the Canadians? He goes, oh, yeah, Montreal. Yeah, we spoke. Like, it's just, that's the, the gravitas that they still carry. But here were some of the funny quotes I got. So Blake McLaughlin is a left winger out of the USHL, like a point a game, very skinny kid, but very talented. I've seen him 3 or 4 times. I really do like him. The Flyers spoke to him, but he was so starstruck, Blake McLaughlin, with Ron Hextall that he said he wanted to take a picture with him. But then he realized he shouldn't take a picture with him because it's not that professional. So that was pretty funny.
That's good. I like that.
I did go up to Matthias Samuelsson. I waited till people were gone because, I think he knows who I am now at this point because I've interviewed him. And then the family connection. We see Shell all the time. We see his sister all the time. Yeah. And so, but I did ask him with only a few guys around, hey, are you stronger than your dad? And he goes, not yet. I don't know. And I said, what about arm wrestling? Can you at least beat him in arm wrestling? Because that was a big thing with me and my dad. When I could finally beat him in an arm wrestle, I was happy. And he just looked at me and he goes, nah, he's a big boy. Like he knew I was going to quote him on that. Like he knew.
That's good.
So I did. I put that out on Twitter. And one more is Ty Smith, who I think is one of the most overlooked defensemen on the list. I have him 10th right now on my list. A really great offensive defenseman from Spokane who actually wanted to point out to me that he could play defense. And I think because he said that was a shot at like Nick Merkley and a few others who are high up that maybe don't have a great defensive game but have an amazing offensive game. But he started off being sensitive about his arms because he was in a sleeveless shirt. So he goes, yeah, I know I don't have the biggest arms out there. And actually, I'm going to post the interview at some point. But I helped him. I tried to help this kid's self-confidence, even though he's going to be a millionaire, by saying, dude, that doesn't make you a good hockey player just because you have big arms. Like, it just doesn't.
Right. Oh, yeah. It's got to be interesting. Like, I noticed that's what they're wearing. I think, and a lot of hockey players just don't have, the upper body strength you would think. Like they really don't.
Well,
we're not. I mean, they're better than soccer players because I know a lot of like our soccer. It's funny, our girls' soccer team, which is incredible athletes, just have none of them can do a pull up, but they're all like phenomenal athletes. But
here's the story I give on that. I was not a great athlete. I'm still a pretty good athlete, right? But for some reason, I have upper body strength. So I was always able to do a lot, bench my weight and more on a bench press when I was younger, and do pull-ups. I could do like 27 pull-ups. I came in like second for the president's physical fitness test. Doesn't make me a good hockey player. Yeah, right. Doesn't make you a good hockey player. And I mean, obviously, leg strength is totally different. I mean, they all have great leg strength. They have to have great leg strength. But was it Casey Middlestat that couldn't do a pull up? Like that kind of thing.
No, it wasn't Middlestat.
It was Sam Bennett who couldn't do one. And actually, so Brady Tkachuk did 11, and the NHL tweeted that out, and they copied Matthew Tkachuk on it. And Matthew Tkachuk said he couldn't beat him, but then Sam Bennett chimed in and said he could.
That's excellent.
which is funny.
It's just it is an interesting. It's got to be stressful to be put under those kind of tests with those teams looking at you. Because the only thing you can do. I mean, I'm not there. I would love to. I should go sometime just with you guys, just to see what.
I find it fascinating because there are definitely things you can get. I will say this: whoever John Murphy is in the chat room, this guy's a genius because the one guy who really did possibly raise his stock from being such a great athlete at the combine is Liam Foudy, who played for the London Knights. This kid did everything spectacular. He tested so well. And look, he's a good player. He had like 40 points in 60 games. He was already on the CSS radar, but nothing, massive. But now Liam Foudy is on everybody's radar. Now, there were some other kids too who came in just looking like so fit and buff and whatever, and they did do well.
Yeah.
But Liam Foudy's generally on base level a better hockey player than some of the other guys. If you go to my Instagram account, you'll see I'm not even going to talk about them. But Foudy is a guy that raised his stock. There's no question.
Anybody, I mean, it feels like to me like the one thing you can do is hurt yourself in this thing. Like that's it feels like the worst thing.
I think you could hurt yourself in the interviews, and we never find out enough about the interviews.
Yeah.
The biggest question in the interviews was the school bus. They would show like a blank school bus. School buses don't fly. They're on the ground.
I was just attacked by a group of Canadian geese that flew right over top of me. Sorry.
Well, the other thing that came up.
Hang on, let me explain the school bus question, Mike, and then I'll do it. But the school bus, they basically would show them a school bus, and you don't know if it's going forward or backward.
I know this one.
Anything about it. And John Madden's son, Tyler Madden, was talking about it in great detail. My quip was, hey, at least you didn't miss the bus. And he looked at me and laughed. He goes, yeah, you're right. But nobody knows if they got that question right, and they won't find out until after the draft.
Right. And the other thing that was brought up, at least that I heard sporadically, was references or asking about the game Fortnite. Now it's funny after the hubbub that was raised recently about a player that a team had soured on because of his addiction to video games. That definitely sounds like it's a concern with a number of teams asking these kids, like, how often do you play video games, how much, how late do you stay up, that type. I mean that because that is distraction, and they want them to be focused on hockey, not off ice activities, even if it is something.
I don't think some of the prospects, a large majority of them, got what they were doing when they asked them that. I think they legitimately were asking them if they were good at the game, and these guys were telling them how much they played and how good they were. And I do kind of wonder if that worked in a negative way against some of them, because when I heard them talking about it, they were all bragging about it rather than saying, no, I don't spend all night playing it, like that. That was one of those questions that was hard. I will tell you this, and I did tweet it off of Instagram, but it cut it off, so you'd have to go to Instagram. But I did report yesterday that the hardest team to me, and I spoke to a lot of guys, the hardest team on these guys was the Red Wings. And Ken Holland was tough. Really? I think the second hardest was Hextall, because we know that Hextall can be sort of like very, I just would say intimidating, like with like burning eyes, even though he's a nice guy, and he is a nice guy, but Hextall is very direct and to the point, and he does have these eyes that are burning. And I think the prospects pick up on that, and knowing that how he was as a player, and you could just go to YouTube and see him hacking away at guys.
I was going to say, well, when he walks into the meeting wielding a goalie stick, Russ, I mean, of course you're intimidated.
Yeah, really.
So I think that's a thing too. So those two teams were very tough on guys. There's no question about it.
Act, you got any rumor stuff?
Yeah, 1 second. I do have something for you guys.
Yeah, the one thing that I mean, from the Toronto perspective, I know that Kyle Dubas interviewed with Mike Zeisberger of NHL.com and said, he's pretty much open to anything, trading up, trading down, which is basically like saying nothing. If you're open to anything, you're not really revealing anything. I still get the feeling, even though the Leafs talked to a number of centers, that
a number. They may have spoken to a record number of centers.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Every team seemed to say who is a center seemed to have spoken to them.
And they're picking at 25. So they can pretty much, I mean, there's Benoit Olivier Groulx and a few others that are sort of in that area that might get picked at 25. But I still believe there's a potential of them trading that pick. If they see a deal out there that arises, Noah Hannafin, for a top 4 defenseman, I think that there's the definite possibility of them making that kind of deal. Not to say that there isn't value at the bottom of the first round, because I think there is, but I think that where the Leafs are, they may make that kind of move.
I will tell you this: the other things that sort of jumped out were the Rangers spoke to a lot of defensemen, and there were some people trying to get on me on Twitter because, if the Rangers spoke to a kid like Nico Gross, they're not looking at Nico Gross for the first couple of rounds. They're looking at Nico Gross for like the 5th, 6th, or 7th round to be able to get another defenseman who might be able to play some depth minutes in the NHL. That's what you do when you're extremely short of defensemen in your system, and that's how you restock it. And the Rangers were definitely doing that. They spoke to some centers too, because they do have those 2 picks. So I think center and defense for them might be the what they're going to try and do.
And that makes sense for Toronto as well, Russ, because they're really bereft of centers in their organization at the AHL level and in the prospect pipeline. So, they may not be just looking at first round. They may be looking at second, third round when it comes to drafting players up the middle.
Like if I were the Rangers, I could see them spending the 2nd pick if Bodie Wild's still there. I could see that happening in a heartbeat. And so we'll see if that comes to fruition. The other thing was Zadina was getting flown out right after that to Ottawa, because the prospects will be in Washington today,
right?
But Ottawa flew him out, so that's a pretty grand gesture right there.
Yeah, it's a pretty grand gesture. All right, everyone, which way is the school bus heading?
See, now here's the thing. I think it's parked. There you go. This question. I've known this before because my family. There's one thing we do is brain teasers. Okay, so I've seen this question before, so I know the answer to this. But we do tons of brain teasers. This question, and I've done research on it before too, is actually a question that 10-year-olds get right 90% of the time, and adults never get right. All right, I'll give you my real answer. My real answer is it's going to the closest arrow to the left where you see the building, because I think they're just coming up on the building and they're going to pass it.
That has nothing to do with it. That's nothing to do with it.
I'm just telling you that's my answer. I don't care.
I don't see the driver in either of the end windows, so I refuse to answer.
All right, I will give you a hint. Okay, this answer is different if you're in England or the United States.
Oh Jesus!
Because you're on the left side of the road or the right side, but we don't even see the road. This is a really crappy picture.
No, you see the road. You're the road. You see the road on the other side.
That's like a dirt road, like they drove on when I was
there. It's obviously like so. Remember, okay, a school bus would never have its door facing the road.
There's no door.
See the door.
That's what I'm saying. You don't see a door, right?
I don't even see kids. This is a runaway school bus.
I think this is a painting of a friggin' school bus on a wall. I don't even think it's a bus.
Keanu Reeves is driving this bus.
It's parked against a curb, okay? The road is obviously in front of you, so it's parked against the curb. So the door, if you're driving in the United States, would have to be.
I wouldn't get on this bus if Sandra Bullock was driving it.
Which means that if you're in the United States, this school bus is definitely heading to the left. Because the door would be over there. If you're on the right, if you're driving the other side of the road, on the other side. You see what I mean?
Okay. If I was in those meetings,
in 11th and 12th grade, I stopped taking the school bus and I walked to school. So screw it.
You see what you get
in the driven snow.
It's a really simple. You get it?
No, I don't get it.
I don't care. Let's talk about
because there's a door, and reason kids.
The door. Point out the door.
You can't see the door, but there has to be a door to the bus.
Right. So if you can't see it, you can't.
No, that means the door is on the other side of the bus. That's what
oh my God. Yeah, but what's
on the other side of the bus? It has to. The door is at the front of the bus. If the door is at the front of the bus, it's got.
I get it now. I hate it.
Yeah, please. Let's talk about rumors.
Just making sure you got it. All right.
I do.
There's the most interesting thing I have done about the blog on this. So getting this ahead of time a little bit here.
Right.
All right. The most interesting thing I have for today, besides the Kachuk thing with Montreal, which I think is kind of cool, is the rumors that Edmonton is no longer looking at Pat Maroon and bringing him back. All right, which is pretty fascinating for a lot of reasons. Because first off, we talked about Pat Maroon before, and he is one of these guys who, when he left there, was basically told, from everybody I talked to, that he'd be coming back probably because Connor McDavid loves Pat Maroon and wants him on the team. And he wouldn't be traded at all if they were going to the playoffs. And this is, they would be extending him. So we'll get something for you. Come back here. If Edmonton is not going to bring Pat Maroon back, you got to think something else is up with Edmonton, because something has changed and they are looking at spending a lot of money somewhere. That's what I'm thinking. Like that's so whether or not this means that they are in on Carlson, because they wouldn't be in on Tavares. It wouldn't make any sense, right? So, but if they're looking to spend a ton of money, maybe they're in on one of the Carlsons. Like
maybe they're in on Van Riemsdyk.
I don't think they're looking. It wouldn't be a forward, because like this is a team that I think we all agree, if they're going to put a lot of money into something, they already have so much money spent up front that they have to put some money into the defense.
Well, but the thing is, though, the reason they would have thought to bring Maroon back is because they, their problem is they're strong up the middle, unless Draisaitl is actually a winger and they've misconstrued or misjudged what he is. And I heard that talk at the end of last season, that he's, he probably fits better as a winger. Well, you're paying him $8.5 million. You paid him to be a center, so I think you have to make that work. Nugent Hopkins is a $6 million center who played some wing at the end of the year. They're not strong on the wing, and you've got guys in the pipeline who eventually will be Puljujarvi, maybe Yamamoto, probably, but they're not strong on and you have to take advantage of those good centers with forwards who can complement them on the wing, and their defense is still a train wreck.
All right, so here's something that comes from the chat room, Eck. There's two things. I at the combine, I did feel like Edmonton's going to draft a defenseman.
Yes.
And the feeling is they might get Boquist simply because they're looking for a power play specialist, and that's what he is. And he could probably step right in the NHL and start working a power play. Defensively, He's deficient, but he can do the power play great. That's one thing. The other thing is, so Steve James here says in the chat room, and this is interesting, that he knows somebody who had a hand in scouting and drafting Ryan Merkley, a member of his family, to Guelph. And he says that they're also good friends with Dubas, and he thinks the Leafs will draft Merkley. And Merkley is an offensive just juggernaut. But the problem with Merkley is he is the 100% risk and very little reward when it comes to other plays on the ice, defensively and hockey IQ. Right. If the Leafs take him with their first-round pick, it's a mistake. If they get him in the second round, then I think it's fine, because you can work with this kid. The offensive skill that he has is off the charts.
The Canadian Jake Gardner.
Yeah, but I think he's even more proficient than Jake Gardner. I really do. I think he's a better skater than even Jake Gardner.
Well, I mean, I meant
Gardner actually plays better defense.
I'm sure that's a sad commentary.
I know. I'm just saying. I do think it's an interesting point, and appreciate that Steve brought that up.
Thanks so much for jumping in the chat room, guys. You can get the chat room, by the way, on the YouTube channel, and you can pop it out and watch it. But I think that the one thing that's interesting about that, and we do trust the chat room guys, because they're in there almost every day, a lot of them, which is nice. I get you have no idea how many texts I get to my business phone, or things saying I'm brother of this guy, da 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 da, and I've so many times that there people just pulling your leg, and I really it's one of those things. So I really but you're in the chat room, we're going with you, we're trusting you. It makes sense. It does make sense.
Well,
it does make sense as well. So but I get so many. Oh my gosh.
Well, the thing is, though, that with Edmonton, I really think that the focus will be on defense. You're right, Ak, and that's why that that one rumor that popped up a few weeks ago, which we don't know if it's going to happen or not, but there is. I think that there would be interest throughout the league in a guy like Ristolainen, and Edmonton, being interested in him is not a stretch. So I think that's a possibility.
Here's something that I heard with this, though, that we have heard Clefbaum's name mentioned, right? So
yeah,
my thought, I'm still, I have to talk to people today to find this. So this is speculation. The part that's not speculation is that the part that's actually a rumor, which comes from somebody else. Difference between rumor and speculation. Rumor comes from somebody else, which is that they say that they are not bringing back Pat Maroon. And that's surprising a lot of people in Edmonton, and a lot of the players are a little upset about Maroon's talking to New Jersey, and it looks like New Jersey does want to sign him, which is good. But the fact is that that's rumor. Speculation is we've heard Clefbaum's name mentioned in rumors too, but if they are going to go for, if say they're going to go for Eriksson, Lefbaum could be involved in that trade. You know,
Eric Carlson.
Eric Carlson, you mean?
As they go for Carlson. I'm sorry, Carlson. What did I say?
Erickson.
Eric Carlson. Yeah, Eric Carlson.
Always Jonathan Erickson. I don't know if anybody wants
Erickson to me all the time. Eric Carlson.
Louis Erickson, they can have him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about Thomas Erickson, who used to play anyway. Back in the. All right, so this is
But there was, we should bring up Tuek. There was a lot of Ristolainen talk. There was, and
yeah, no, it is kind of amazing to me, and I believe this Ristolainen stuff now because I mean, why wouldn't I? But just you know, I still haven't gotten it from anybody that I know. But I've been everybody talking about it, and you guys are reading about it, so there's somebody I know. But
there is a belief in Buffalo that Jason Botterill wants to change the chemistry and the core group without trading the young guys like Reinhart and Eichel.
And part of that. Is he a bad dude or something like that? What's going on?
From what I understand, I mean, he's ill-suited to being a number one defenseman. I think he's probably a number 2 or maybe a number 3.
Well,
and they play him, right? But I know, but they're paying. They would be paying a number 3 $5.4 million plus. There has been questioning of basically his attitude towards accepting coaching, being told what to do and being open to it. And if that's the case, then it's
your coach, right? So you got a great defensive coach.
But this is 2 coaches. This is 2 coaches in a row. It's Bilesma and it's Housley, and like at a certain point, it's not the coaches, it's the player. And
trade him now. It could make
it's gonna be very easy to trade him. It's gonna be
no. I mean, if that's true, I mean, if I'm a team in the NHL and Buffalo comes to me wanting to trade Ristolainen, Buffalo, a team that needs defense. I mean, even though they're getting this guy, they still need defense.
Every team thinks that they can fix a player.
I know, but I would definitely question it. It's one of those things I would do a lot of homework on that one because I'm like, why is Buffalo trying to trade their best defenseman? I mean, granted, their new guy or whatever hasn't played yet, but their best defenseman, they're trying to trade him, and they're a team that desperately needs defensemen. It's a weird one. I mean, why not just keep him in there? See if Dowling comes in, if they worked well together. Maybe. I mean,
I think if they keep him, if they want to trade him, they're getting a number 1 defenseman in Dowling. It gives them the carte blanche to move Ristolainen if they get value for him. Obviously, there's a situation here where Botterill is going to move someone. I don't think it's going to be Ryan O'Reilly because Ryan O'Reilly's making too much money, and I think he's still a good player, and he's a good center, so they wouldn't have any problem moving him either. But Ristolainen is a good player, but from everything that's been reported, there's a little souring on him in terms of his personality or in terms of his coachability within the organization.
That must be the case because, and that's if that's the case, teams are going to know that.
But I will say this, Mike. We did hear Ryan O'Reilly's name too popping up, and that one makes more sense to me. Not from the sense that he can't play, right? Ryan O'Reilly's still great at faceoffs. Will still score 55 points, but Ryan O'Reilly, we saw towards the end of the season, have some real, biting quotes about how that team was.
I mean, they're hard to come back from some of those quotes. And the other thing is that we always say that every player in the NHL has like one sentence on them that they can't snag.
Yeah,
they can't get rid of it. O'Reilly's sentence on him is he does not work with the speed of the NHL right now. That's what everybody says. Like when they went to get him, the NHL's got, and I saw a great statistic the other day somewhere about that was actually tracking. This is where analytics is amazing to me. Like they were tracking the speed of players on an average now, and it's practically doubled in 5 years. Like it's incredible. Yeah. Like it's an unbelievable. Like it was basically so stagnant for so many years, and then the last 4 or 5 years, it's just gone through the roof.
That's why, like, if the Islander fans are wondering how come Michael Dal Cole can't break in, because when he was drafted, his speed was fine, and every year since then, he's had to get faster, and he's right on the edge of not being fast enough.
And Ryan O'Reilly is the epitome of that. Like he's not a super fast player, but then you look at and the other thing about Ryan O'Reilly that I think is that he is a better player with better players around him. Like there's no two ways about that. Like that, and you saw that because the guy was on the #1 power play in the tournament United guys didn't want to watch for Canada in the World Championships. He was on the number 1 power play with McDavid, and and O'Reilly looked great, and he looked absolutely fine. And there's a lot of fast players there, a lot of speed there, but he's just suddenly playing with skilled guys, and he looked awesome. And
he had 61 points and 24 goals, but
yeah,
and he has value. There's no question.
Yeah. And I also think a factor here is does Buffalo want to put Casey Middlestat in the middle as a 19-year-old? I think that because O'Reilly's the perfect number 2 center right now, but are they ready to win right now? Probably not, but I think if it's one or the other, Ristolainen or O'Reilly, based on salary and based on position, they would get a lot more for Ristolainen, and that's why I think if it's one of them, it's gonna be him. Just one note here before we end. Devontae Smith-Pelly took a puck off the face in practice at the pregame skate or the morning skate and left the ice. So
yeah, but you know what? Like Kempney's looked bad too, right? He went into the wall. He played.
Right. I don't know the extent here. I mean, it may be nothing.
I'm with Russ on this one. I'm totally bought into the Alex Chiasson thing, Russ. I think that I
think this would be the game to do it. Even though he scored a great goal last game, and it was a very patient goal. But if he's a little nicked up, I'd put Chiasson in. I would.
It was, but just as an aside, real quick, we got to end. As an aside, if on the hit on Fleury on the disallowed goal.
Headshot.
If Fleury goes down and is out for the rest of the series, Smith-Pelly's suspended for 10 games.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, the crazy thing about that there wasn't a suspension talk about after that, just was mind-boggling to me.
Well, the crazier thing was Brooks Orpik was holding his head and never went in for concussion protocol.
I saw that too, yeah.
Smith-Pelly's back on the ice.
Orpik would never, ever pretend to be hurt.
No.
Smith-Pelly is back. Smith-Pelly is back on the ice.
And not only did Orpik not pretend to be hurt, but he was pointing to his head on the TV broadcast. He was.
Yeah. I know. I mean, so I saw that too. We saw that on the monitors. The Islanders, last thing I'll say is this other rumor that just affected me now, that he's hearing the Islanders are going to trade both of their first-round picks for a goalie. And I don't know whether
trade both. No way.
No way.
It's I don't know who this is what's coming in, and we'll see what happens.
For Carey Price?
Got to be a good goalie.
It would have to be for Price or Pekka Rinne. Like, it would have to be.
Well, it wouldn't be Rinne because Rinne is old and washed
out. You can get Price or Pekka Rinne for those 2 picks. You can. It might be to get Pekka Rinne for this.
I think you can get Pekka Rinne for that, Eck.
He's 37 years old.
That's why I changed it on there. But you are not going to get Price. You could get Crawford. You could get Grubauer.
You would not take 2 first-round picks to get Corey Crawford.
And it wouldn't. You're not giving 2 for Grubauer because he's not.
What did Lou give up to get
1 first-round pick, like a 20?
What are you talking for Freddie Anderson?
No.
The 9th overall pick
for Corey Schneider.
9th overall pick.
9th overall. Okay, so this is the 11th and 14th or something like
that. 12th and 13th. 12th and 13th. Yeah.
Could you trade the 12th and 13th to get a 9th? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So there would have to be
something else, obviously.
No.
Yeah, but now
there is not a goaltender available that we know of that is worth those 2 first-round picks. Unless Carey,
What about Corey Schneider?
Yeah, he'd be worth it.
Do you really see him trading him inside his own division?
Look, I'll even give you another one that would be worth the 2 first-round picks.
I'd really consider that.
Henrik Lundqvist would be worth it. Would he go to the Islanders? I don't think so.
Do you think Keith
that would be amazing? If only is Lundqvist on the island and Tavares in the Rangers, and then everything's like. No.
Do you think Keith Kincaid is a number 1 goaltender, Russ?
No, and that's why I don't think they'll do it.
Right,
I think Keith is a 1A. He's a really guy. He could take over as the 1 for a few weeks at a time, but he's not a 1 overall.
Right, and they got goalies in their system like Mackenzie Blackwood, but they're years away from being any.
Yeah, but so can Kincaid take? I don't know. It's something.
Mason Applegate came up and had a really good game, and he's a big goalie, but he's not ready either.
Oh, Appleby, yeah,
Appleby. Sorry.
Anyway, this is food for thought. I'll write about this in a little bit. Okay, guys. So
okay.
Check out the site. I'm going to write about all of this right after this blog is done, and then I'm going to post the story and head down to DC, where I'll see you later, Russ.
Yes, you'll see me. I'll look for you.
Great. Yep, I think you're in the Augs box with us.
I'm sure I'll be there with you. I don't know.
Hopefully, I'll see you guys on TV.
Yes, I did. I got to meet Sheng Pang. By the way, great guy.
I will definitely try and meet him as well. I think he's done a great job.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. I asked him a question about the do the Knights push the too many men on the ice thing. I said, have they taken a lot of too many men on the ice penalties this year? Because Russ was bringing that up. He's like, no, they really haven't. But I said, that's kind of interesting. I wondered if they had.
One last tidbit: Blake McLaughlin's stepbrother is Jake Bischoff, who's actually a black ace for the Vegas Golden Knights, which is kind of cool.
I thought you were going to say his stepfather is Eric Bischoff.
Eric Bischoff would have been great. It would have been, then the NWO music would play. It would be like, like Hulk Hogan would walk out tonight. It'd be great.
Remember, that's us. It's just hockey. Have fun tonight. Enjoy the games. We'll be back tomorrow.